Paris 2024 Olympics is controversial for a lot of reasons, and one of those is sustainability. In a world that's repeatedly suffering the consequences of climate change, we need to talk about the sustainability concerns behind the brands that are profiting from the games on a global scale. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here, which I know a few of you are. My name's Katie. I talk about sustainable fashion topics, insights, and advice. So if that sounds good to you, then hit the subscribe button and let's get into the video. The French government has said that Paris 2024 will be the most sustainable Olympic Games yet. They've promised a lot of deliverables for that, like the games largely depending on renewable energy, a commitment to reducing the event's carbon emissions by up to 50%, which may sound like a huge reduction, but it still means the games will generate 1.75 million tons of carbon. They're also addressing the food and the transport around the city, but despite the alleged focus on sustainability, they haven't addressed the fashion behind the games. Given that the fashion industry is responsible for a lot of worldwide pollution, you'd think that they would extend this sustainability messaging to the uniforms that teams are using, but this seems to have been overlooked. Some of the athletes have even drawn attention to this and voiced their concerns about the fact that team uniforms don't seem to be the major focus of sustainability innovations in the games. But even more of an issue than the team uniforms is the partners that the games have allowed for this year, and we're going to get into that. Let's talk about the team uniforms first, and there's a couple that I specifically want to point out. Nike, or Nike as some people have been commenting for me to say, is the sponsor of Team USA, and they design their uniforms and a lot of other loungewear and items they can wear while over in Paris. One general theme across all of the uniforms this year is the lack of sustainable materials. Some brands have tried, but a lot of them have stuck to using polyester and unsustainable materials, despite of course knowing that Paris was supposed to be a sustainable Olympics. For example, the online product listing for the Nike jacket says it uses sustainable materials. I can see on the website that it says 53% cotton and 47% polyester. What's sustainable about that? It doesn't even say organic cotton or regenerative or any of those very common ways to make cotton more sustainable. Nike has recently been in hot water for laying off sustainability staff, which you'll know if you watch my fashion headlines video for this month. Even before that though, they were already missing some of their sustainability goals. Its score on the Fashion Transparency Index went down between 2022 and 2023, and they scored only half of all available points. The company is definitely currently struggling, and it's definitely hoping for the Olympics to give it a big marketing push, but they're back in the headlines this week because their investors are asking them to look into the human rights risk of their supply chain, which is definitely bad news. On to Lululemon now, which is the official sponsor of Team Canada. The brand is currently accused of a global greenwashing effort. The brand has built themselves around an image of wellness, but they've yet to really invest in sustainability, even so far as setting time-bound renewable energy commitments to their supply chain. Currently, their supply chain relies on burning fossil fuels like coal, which directly goes against this wholesome image they've built. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll tell you how you can help call them out for this. Aside from the greenwashing stuff, Lululemon was also one of the brands to gift a whole lot to their athletes. Team Canada had a whole suitcase worth of merch in there. And sadly, this overconsumption is a general theme across brands. On to Berlutti now, which is making France's team uniforms. You might not have heard of Berlutti. It's a very quiet luxury brand under LVMH's umbrella. If you don't know LVMH, they're a fashion conglomerate helmed by Bernard Arnault, and they're the main concern behind this team uniform. And I'm going to get into that soon in the sponsors section. Although each company creating uniforms has its own ethical concerns, the overall issue through all of the uniforms is the use of synthetic materials. Sophie Benson recently did an article for Vogue where she points out that athletes really suffered from the heat in the Tokyo Olympics, and France had to distribute a pamphlet for athletes warning them about how to beat the heat this time around too. And despite all of this, they're still encouraging the athletes to wear sportswear clothing that is derived from fossil fuels, which directly contributes to climate change and these heat issues we've been seeing. It's just very ironic. Okay, let's talk about the corporate partnerships now, starting with LVMH. They paid 150 million euros to be the premium sponsor of this Olympics, and you can definitely tell. The brand is absolutely everywhere, from designing France's uniforms to creating monogrammed boxes for the Olympic medals that are in LVMH's trademark design. We also saw stars like Celine Dion wearing Dior at the opening ceremony. If you don't know, Dior was recently named in a scandal about unethical labor. And as I said in my headlines video, if there's unethical practices in one brand of a massive corporation, you can bet that that's bound to be rife across the board. LVMH's culture of greed and corruption has gotten so bad that investors are now demanding change. And LVMH has promised to increase auditing in response to this backlash. But the fact that it took major headlines and investors' outcry to prompt this investigation is insane. And it does make you question what other scandals they're hiding in their parent company that we haven't dragged out of them yet. LVMH has been very, very public about the fact that they're using this Olympics to increase revenue down the line. Currently, they're seeing their sales slump by 6%, which still means they're making billions and billions of dollars, make no mistake. But they're using this global platform and increased hype around the Olympics in order to get their brands in front of your face, hoping that you'll buy them down the line. In fact, that's a common theme across all of the brands here, obviously. They're in it for the marketing. Like Skims, providing Team USA with loungewear, despite the fact they were already given so much merch by both Nike and Ralph Lauren. They gifted athletes very unnecessary clothing like bodysuits, tank tops, shorts, bathing suits, and bathrobes. The thing about Skims is they're very, very opaque when it comes to supply chains and general practices. Not only is this t-shirt like objectively ugly, I mean, who is wearing this? But their clothes are made from cotton. That's all the product details we have. Given that they give no supply chain information, just vague commitment towards sustainability from the brand, we don't know if the brand is in the least bit ethical. We have basically no information on them. And so for them to be allowed to take part in the most sustainable Olympic Games ever is a farce. You also have Fenty Beauty. Funny enough, their owner is actually LVMH. And whilst it's the beauty brand that's sponsoring the Olympics, their sister brand, Savage x Fenty, scored lower than Shein on the 2023 Transparency Index because they don't disclose anything about their supply chain or materials or climate commitments. And whilst they're not directly partnering with the Olympics, they'll still get global publicity from their sister brand. One major thing I want to talk about is the fact that this Olympics seems to be consumerism on steroids. Like, I'm by no means an avid watcher of the games, but my For You page has been flooded by content. And I just feel like the brand partnerships and the content from athletes has just never been this much. The athletes themselves are kind of acting like fashion influencers rather than their actual job. I mean, pretty much all of them have done merch unboxing videos showing off their team's sportwear. One athlete from Team USA did an unboxing video and showed a watch that every member of the team is given every year. And she said that she was giving it to her dad because clearly she didn't want it. The fact that this is the most sustainable games yet, and the fact that the Olympics team seem to be concerned with sustainability, but they're not addressing overconsumption, is insane. Why are athletes being given items that they're not going to use themselves? This athlete got given another bag separate from all the sponsored merch from the place they train at, full of random stuff, including a reusable water bottle, which Ralph Lauren had already included in their team uniform haul, and a portable monitor, which the athlete clearly said is something people on their team already had. Regardless of everything brands are trying to preach about sustainability, if they're not addressing overconsumption, then that's greenwashing. Overconsumption is the biggest issue facing us right now, and a lot of us know it, to the point where underconsumption core is trending on TikTok, and I did a video on that if you want to watch it. We have to talk about the fact that aside from these brands creating team uniforms and gifting all these merch to the athletes, they're going to be creating hundreds of thousands of replica kits for people to buy on their websites. And if hundreds of thousands sounds like a lot, it might be. The thing is, we don't know how many clothes brands are producing, which is another major issue. Why aren't we questioning the fact that these uniforms have to change every year? Why do we need this constant newness? Not enough is spoken about what happens to these uniforms after the games are over. How many athletes will discard their kits? How many of them will do the responsible thing and think about an end-of-life situation that's not landfill? Because they definitely can't keep all of the items they're given. There's just too much of it. One other thing that really gets to me me is people's response to these unboxing videos and merch hauls on TikTok. They're commenting under the athletes' videos saying like, you got all of this for free, as if one, it's a good thing that they were given all of this without asking, and two, that the brands are doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. They're really not. This is all marketing for them. This is all public awareness, and they're all betting that it's going to turn into future sales down the line. Both quite literally from people buying the replica team kits to support their country, and also increasing brand awareness of their other products. Obviously, LVMH is betting biggest on this. They've involved their entire conglomerate in the games, but it's true for every single brand. Clearly, fashion is betting big on sport as the next area they can move into. We've already seen a lot of new partnerships cropping up between sports stars and fashion houses, like Lewis Hamilton partnering with Dior, or a couple of brands that jumped on the Travis Kelce hype, and all to tap into a new market of consumers that might buy into their product. I think we need to start questioning why the Olympic Games need to be tied to so much corporate sponsorship. And I think we need to be calling out brands more for being this transparent about using the games as a way of marketing to us and overselling us stuff that we don't need, that athletes don't need. One way we can do this is by joining Action Speaks Louder's campaign against Lululemon, who, like I said, have not set concrete targets for their renewable energy emissions. You can get involved by tagging Lululemon on Instagram and asking them to stop burning fossil fuels, or also use Action Speak Louder's email template, which I'll be linking in the description of this video, to tell Lululemon that you want the Olympics to be an opportunity for true climate action, not sports washing or greenwashing. But we can also do this with every brand I've mentioned in this video. You can go directly to Nike's social media and comment about their recent scandals, about how much merch they've created for this Olympics and why none of it used sustainable materials. You can also go to the Paris Olympics official Instagram and comment mostly the same things, asking them why they haven't included fashion in their sustainability goals and how they plan to help athletes dispose of this merch sustainably after the games. Hopefully next Olympics we'll see a lot more of a focus on fashion, since it's clearly already a massive part of the games, and that's only going to get bigger as fashion moves further into sport, but only time will tell. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you've been watching this long, then please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will speak to you really soon. Have a lovely week. Bye.